The heart that remembered. The morning sun cast long shadows between the glass towers of downtown Chicago as Emma Martinez hurried down Madison Street, her red apron still tied around her waist. She just finished the breakfast shift at Rosa's Diner, and her feet ached in her worn sneakers. But there was no time to rest. She had to pick up her daughter Lily from school, then rush to her evening shift at the grocery store. Emma was 28 years old, though some days she felt much older. Life as a single mother wasn't the dream she'd once imagined, but it was her reality now. Every dollar mattered. Every shift counted. Every moment was carefully measured between work and Lily as she cut through the business district, a shortcut she'd discovered months ago. Emma noticed the usual crowd of professionals in their crisp suits and polished shoes. They moved with purpose, phones pressed to their ears, briefcases swinging at their sides. She felt invisible among them, just another face in the crowd, wearing a diner uniform instead of designer clothes. The plaza between the towers was busier than usual. Some corporate event, Emma guessed. Hundreds of people stood in neat rows, all facing a stage at the far end. She skirted the edge of the crowd, trying not to disturb whatever was happening. That's when she heard it, a sound that cut through the murmur of voices, a sharp gasp, followed by a heavy thud. Emma turned quickly. A man in an expensive grey suit had collapsed onto the stone pavement, his body rigid, his face contorted in pain. People around him froze, their eyes wide with shock. Some pulled out their phones. Others stepped back uncertain, but Emma didn't hesitate. Years ago, before Lily was born, she'd taken a first aid course at the community center. She'd never imagined she'd need it, but the training came flooding back now as she dropped to her knees beside the fallen man. "Someone call 911, she shouted, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The man was in his early 40s, with dark hair touched with grey at the temples. His skin had gone pale, almost ashen, and he was clutching his chest. A heart attack, Emma was certain of it. "Sir, can you hear me?" she asked, leaning close. His eyes fluttered open briefly, filled with pain and fear. Emma checked his pulse. It was rapid and irregular. She needed to keep him calm, keep him stable until help arrived. She loosened his tie and unbuttoned the top of his collar, giving him room to breathe. "You're going to be okay," she said softly, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "Help is coming. Just stay with me." Around them, the crowd had formed a circle, but no one else stepped forward. They whispered and watched, but Emma barely noticed them. Her entire focus was on the man struggling for each breath beneath her hands. She talked to him continuously, her voice low and soothing. She told him about Lily, about the breakfast rush at Rosa's Diner, about anything she could think of to keep him conscious and calm. His eyes found hers, and in that moment something passed between them, a connection born of vulnerability and trust. The ambulance arrived within minutes, though it felt like hours. Paramedics rushed forward with equipment and confident efficiency. Emma stepped back, her hands trembling now that the crisis had passed. She watched as they loaded the man onto a stretcher, hooking him up to machines that beeped and monitored. One of the paramedics turned to her. "You did good, ma'am." "You might have saved his life," Emma nodded, unable to speak. Then she glanced at her watch and her heart sank. She was already late to pick up Lily. As the ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing, Emma slipped back into the crowd. No one stopped her. No one asked her name. She was invisible again, just as before. But she carried the image of that man's frightened eyes with her as she rushed toward the school. 3 weeks passed. Life continued its relentless pace. Emma worked her shifts, paid her bills, and tucked Lily into bed each night with a story and a kiss. The incident in the plaza faded into memory. Just another moment in a long string of days. Then, on a rainy Thursday afternoon, a man in a dark suit walked into Rosa's Diner. Emma was wiping down tables when she heard the bell above the door chime. She looked up, her practiced smile already in place, and froze. It was him. He looked different now, healthier, stronger, with color in his cheeks. But it was definitely the same man who had collapsed in the plaza. He stood in the doorway, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on her. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then he walked slowly toward her table, and Emma noticed he was holding something, a folder and a small bouquet of daisies. "Emma Martinez?" he asked, his voice tentative. She nodded, surprised. "Yes, how did you—" "It took me 3 weeks to find you," he said, a small smile touching his lips. "The paramedics remembered your red apron. Someone in the crowd remembered the name tag. And I visited every diner in this district until I found the right roses." Emma set down her cleaning cloth, her heart beating faster. "You're looking for me?" "Why?" He gestured to the booth. "May I sit?" "I promise I won't take much of your time." She nodded, sliding into the opposite seat. "My name is Daniel Chen," he began. "I'm the CEO of Chen Technologies. That day in the plaza, we were holding our annual company meeting. I was about to give a speech when—" He paused, his hand unconsciously moving to his chest. "You saved my life, Emma. The doctors told me that if you hadn't acted so quickly, hadn't kept me calm, I probably wouldn't have made it." Emma felt her cheeks warm. "I just did what anyone would do, but you didn't just do it. You stayed with me. You talked to me. I remember your voice, even through the pain. You told me about your daughter." His eyes softened. "Lily, right?" She nodded, touched that he remembered. Daniel slid the folder across the table. "I wanted to find you, to thank you properly, and to offer you something." Emma opened the folder cautiously. Inside were papers, employment documents. "My company needs someone to manage our corporate wellness program," Daniel explained. "It's a new position. We want to make sure all our employees know basic first aid, CPR, emergency response. After what happened, I realized how important that knowledge is." He leaned forward. "You'd be perfect for it, Emma. The salary is competitive, the hours are regular, and there are full benefits, health insurance, dental, everything." Emma stared at the papers, her mind spinning. The salary listed was 3 times what she made working 2 jobs. Regular hours meant she could actually have dinner with Lily every night. Health insurance meant she wouldn't have to worry every time Lily got a cough, but something held her back. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "Why not hire a professional?" Daniel was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was sincere. "Because you didn't help me for money or recognition. You helped me because it was the right thing to do. That day you saw someone who needed help and you acted. No hesitation, no calculation, just compassion." He paused. "That's the kind of person I want working with me." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. For so long, she'd felt invisible, unimportant. Just someone serving coffee and stocking shelves, barely making ends meet. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll think about it," Daniel replied gently. He pushed the daisies toward her. "These are for you." A small thank you. He stood to leave, then paused. "Emma, you gave me a second chance at life. Let me give you a chance at something better." After he left, Emma sat alone in the booth, holding the flowers and staring at the employment papers. Through the diner window, she could see the rain beginning to clear, sunlight breaking through the clouds. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Emma called the number on the card Daniel had left. 6 months later, Emma stood in a different plaza, this one at Chen Technologies headquarters. She was leading a training session on emergency response, teaching a room full of employees the skills that had once saved a stranger's life. Daniel often stopped by to observe, always professional, always encouraging. But sometimes, when their eyes met across the room, Emma saw something more than gratitude there. She saw the same recognition she felt. That moment on the pavement had connected them in ways neither had expected. One evening, as the class filed out, Daniel lingered. "Lily's doing well in her new school?" he asked. "She loves it," Emma replied, warmth filling her voice. "Thank you again for helping with the enrollment." "It's nothing," he said, then hesitated. "Emma, I was wondering, would you and Lily like to join me for dinner this Saturday?" "Nothing fancy, just dinner," Emma smiled, her heart light. "We'd like that very much." As she drove home that night, Emma thought about how one moment of compassion had changed everything. She'd saved a life, yes, but in doing so, she'd saved her own as well. and perhaps found something she hadn't been looking for. Love, when it comes, often arrives in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes it begins with a heartbeat, a helping hand, and the simple choice to care, and sometimes that's exactly how it's meant to be. The end.